Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered if the person staring back is really you, or just a version you've built up piece by piece for years? Maybe you catch yourself acting one way at home, another with friends, and again differently at work. How much of your personality feels real to you, and how much is just a mask you slip on to fit in, to be accepted, or just to survive another day? Why do you sometimes feel like a stranger in your own story? Not sure if your reactions, your likes, or even your dreams are truly yours. We're told all the time, just be yourself. But what does that really mean, if sometimes we can't even find who we are beneath all those layers? Is it possible you've been living by rules and faces that aren't even yours? If you've ever felt lost behind your own eyes, or trapped by roles and expectations that weigh you down, this video will help you find your way back, or maybe discover yourself for the first time. Think about your daily routine. How often do you say things you don't really mean, just to keep the peace or avoid awkwardness? At home, maybe you play the responsible one, swallowing your opinions to avoid arguments. With friends, you laugh at jokes that aren't funny, go along with plans you don't actually like. At work, you put on a confident face, even when you're worried or unsure. It's almost automatic, this switching of masks and roles, trying to fit the mood or meet expectations. Does anyone really know the whole you? Most of us learn early to adapt and hide certain sides. Parents tell us how to behave, teachers reward us for the right answers, and friends expect loyalty, even when it means biting back what we want to say. Over time, we collect layers: the good son, the hard worker, the easygoing friend. But sometimes, all these layers start to feel heavy. You get home, look at yourself, and wonder, if I stripped away all the roles, what would be left? It's not just about wearing masks for others. Sometimes we lose track of what is actually ours, what we truly want: love, fear, or believe. The pressure to please, to succeed, to avoid conflict or disappointment builds up quietly until you're not sure if you're living your own life or someone else's version of it. Ever catch yourself asking, would I do this if nobody else was watching? Or, if I could drop all the expectations, who would I actually be? This is normal. Everyone feels lost at times, questioning where their personality ends and their true self begins. It's easy to look for answers in labels: ego, id, personality. But real life doesn't fit inside tidy boxes. We are shaped by instinct, habit, culture, and needs that change every day. The struggle to be authentic is messy because life is messy. What if the first step is to pay attention to the moments when you feel most like yourself, and those when you don't? What if it's less about finding a single real you, and more about learning to recognize when you're acting out of habit, fear, or someone else's script? In this video, we break down what it means to have a self, how ego and personality play a part, and why being real isn't about pretending you never change, but about knowing yourself even in the middle of all the shifts. Let's talk about the real side of what makes you you. If you strip away the complicated terms like self, ego, ID, and personality, the heart of the matter is this: every day, you bounce between different versions of yourself. Sometimes you act from impulse, other times you're planning, calculating, or reacting out of habit. You shapeshift, at home, with family, in the company of friends, or under the pressure at work. But what's driving all this? Why do we sometimes feel lost, or like we're just reading lines from a script someone else wrote? Think about a day when everything feels off. Maybe you wake up grumpy, snap at someone, rush through breakfast so you're not late. On the way to work, you pass a neighbor and suddenly put on a polite smile. At the office, maybe the boss is stressed, deadlines pile up, and you feel that pressure to say the right thing. With each new moment, you shift, confident, Shy, contributor, listener, peacemaker, rebel. Is this all fake? Or are these just parts of you that come forward when needed? Let's break it down into what you actually live. There's a part of you that just reacts. This is the self in its simplest form. Your instinct to touch, to eat when you're hungry, to laugh at something funny, or to feel threatened when someone is angry. Ever notice how your body reacts before your mind catches up? Goosebumps, racing heart, the need to move closer or create distance. These are the basic contacts between you and the world. You're not thinking, you're just being. Now, add the ego. This is the manager side, the one that decides what you show and what you hide. What's okay to say and what has to be pushed down. In daily life, ego is that inner voice reminding you to keep your cool at dinner, double-check your work before sending, or avoid certain topics with family for the sake of peace. Sometimes, ego feels like hard work, choosing what to focus on, holding back an impulse, deciding where to put your energy. For example, choosing not to react to a rude comment at a party, or forcing yourself to finish a task when you'd rather quit. Then comes the id, the raw stuff beneath your usual control. The id is that restless, sometimes silly, or wild part. It's the urges, cravings, desires, and daydreams that pop up when you're tired, alone, or lost in thought. Have you ever caught yourself zoning out during a meeting, wishing you were somewhere else? Or fantasizing about telling someone exactly what's on your mind? The ID is the part that wants immediate satisfaction, even when it isn't wise or practical. For most people, it shows up when relaxing, letting go, or just before sleep. Those moments where your imagination runs, or you replay scenes of what you wish had happened. Personality ties all these parts together. It's built from habits, relationships, and the stories you tell about yourself. Think about how you explain your quirks to a friend, or the way you introduce yourself at a new job. I'm the responsible one. Or, I'm always late. That's just me. Personality is your public face, shaped by how you interact, the roles you accept, and the patterns you repeat over time. It's influenced by what your parents taught you, what you pick up from society, and what you believe about who you should be. But everyday life doesn't fit neatly into categories. Sometimes you're surprised by how quickly you can change. Calm one minute, anxious the next, generous at lunch, and snappy in traffic. Maybe you feel out of control, or wonder why there's a gap between how you act and how you wish you acted. This is where so many people get stuck, worrying they're being fake or not true to themselves. Here's the thing. Real life is rarely just one thing. Imagine a party. You might start out feeling social, looking forward to seeing friends. But 10 minutes in, nerves kick in, and you're more withdrawn. Someone makes a joke and you laugh, even if you don't find it funny, just to be included. Later, maybe you slip away to the balcony, needing space. In every moment, different pieces of you show up. Some are deliberate choices, others are pure reaction. So what does all this mean for how you live? First, you can't just drop all the masks at once. Most roles and habits are there for a reason. They help you function, connect, and survive. But you don't have to be trapped by them. Problems start when a certain role sticks, even after you need to let it go. Like always being the problem solver in your family, even when it makes you ignore your own needs. Or agreeing to every request at work until burnout hits. These routines can become neurotic, stuck patterns that don't help anymore. The trick isn't to delete everything, but to recognize which habits are serving you and which are just keeping you comfortable but stuck. Try thinking back to moments when you just felt alive, present, and real. Maybe playing with your kids, getting lost in a creative project, or finally saying what you mean to someone you care about. Notice what's happening in your body, tension in your shoulders, butterflies, energy, or even calm. These signals point you toward what's genuine. There's another layer. Stress and anxiety are your body's way of saying something isn't right. If you always feel tense at a family meal or dread work calls, it's possible you're living a role that doesn't fit anymore. Instead of blaming yourself, ask, what part of me is uncomfortable here? Is it fear, habit, or a need for something I'm not getting? These questions help you spot where you're on autopilot. Every day is a chance to renegotiate your boundaries. Test the waters. What happens if you say no to something you always say yes to, or share an opinion you normally keep quiet about? The world won't fall apart, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Small changes open big doors to discovering parts of yourself you haven't met yet. Consider the advice, just be yourself. It sounds great, but rarely tells you what to do when you don't know who that is. Maybe the answer is in paying attention, not just copying what's around you, not just acting out of impulse or hiding behind old habits. It's about when you let yourself feel, respond, and connect, without always judging whether it's good enough. If you're wondering where to start, notice the times you feel out of place or disconnected. Ask yourself, what role am I stuck in right now? What am I trying to prove or hide? Gently challenge those patterns. The point isn't to throw away every role, but to make them your tools, instead of letting them become your prison. Real growth happens when you stop running from discomfort and start listening to it. When you admit, yes, I'm scared to change, or I'm tired of being the person who always fixes things. By noticing and naming your patterns, whether they're ego keeping you on guard, ID pulling you toward escape, or personality working overtime, you can start to choose instead of just react. This all plays out in everyday moments. Someone asks you for help. Do you say yes out of habit, or pause to check if you really can? You feel anger in traffic. Do you explode or ask later? Was I really angry or just overloaded by the day? Family wants you at Sunday lunch. Do you go out of obligation, love, or just routine? Here's a secret worth knowing. Nobody is made of just instincts or only habits. We're a blend, shifting and changing all day long. Accepting this messiness gives you freedom. It's okay to not fit perfectly. It's okay to change your mind, to grow, to learn, to show up differently in different places. The story you tell about yourself isn't fixed. Maybe you felt stuck in the role of the responsible one, or the shy girl, or the tough guy. That's part of you, but it's not everything. When you start recognizing which part of you shows up and why, you can work with those pieces, let old roles go, and create new ones that fit where you are now, not just where you came from. Every day is a chance to connect to your body, your cravings, your routines, your needs, and your people. Self, ego, id, personality. These aren't boxes to trap you. They're signals and stories helping you navigate daily life. You don't need to fear when you feel out of character, or stuck, or lost. Instead, use those moments as doors to deeper understanding. In the end, being real is about staying curious. Instead of chasing the right way to act or always asking, am I doing it right? Let yourself notice the present, the actual moment. How do you feel now? What do you need? What would happen if, for once, you said or did the thing you've always held back? Change is not a one-time event. You grow with every new experience, every question, every time you choose to step out of habit and into the present. So maybe being yourself isn't about finding one true version, but about having the courage to show up honestly in each situation, even if you're still learning, still uncertain, still in motion. This video is your invitation to pause and check in. It's not a magic answer, but it's a practical start to see which parts of your life feel stuck and which are ready for something new. To accept that sometimes you'll get it wrong, but that's just part of growing. To see your personality, ego, and self not as problems to be solved, but as tools for living, connecting, and changing every day. When you start to understand the different pieces inside you, your real self, your inner voice, your messy feelings, and the habits you pick up from others, something changes. Life feels less like a performance and more like something that fits you. Instead of always trying to be perfect or to please everyone, you find some space to breathe and act more like the person you really are. One of the greatest benefits is having relationships where you don't need to hide. You discover who really likes you for just being you, and who disappears when you stop following their script. Family dinners don't come with as much pressure when you let go of needing to be the one who fixes everything or agrees with everyone. Friendships actually get deeper when you're honest, when you say you're tired, or excited, or even lost, instead of pretending all the time. Work and study also feel lighter. Instead of dragging yourself through tasks just for a pat on the back, you learn to say when you need help, to share your true ideas, and to set healthy boundaries. Mistakes lose that crushing weight because you start to see them as part of growing, not proof that something is wrong with you. You give yourself freedom to try, mess up, and get a little better each time. Your mind and heart get a break. When you notice what makes you stressed or uncomfortable, you have a chance to change before things get overwhelming. You spot old habits that don't help anymore, and you start making choices that actually work for you now. Worry begins to fade because you finally let go of needing to fit in all the time. You say no when you need to, without guilt. And you say yes when you mean it. You stop forcing yourself into boxes that don't make sense, and you learn to be patient with your own ups and downs. All of this brings small moments of happiness you almost forgot existed. You start paying attention, whether to a laugh, a conversation, a meal, or the simple feeling of being comfortable in your own skin. You get braver as you go, taking risks that used to scare you, trying something new, opening up to people, letting others see the real you. Life is no longer a stage where you have to act all the time, but an open space to create, connect, and live more honestly. With every step, you stop feeling like a stranger to yourself. You slowly meet the person you are, underneath the mess of habits, fears, and old expectations. Instead of fighting against who you've been, you finally feel free to grow into someone you can respect and enjoy being every single day. If you've made it this far, maybe you've started to realize being yourself isn't some mystery or magic moment. It's a choice, one you make day after day, even in the middle of all the confusion. The real journey isn't about decorating yourself with more masks or trying to fit every label you come across. It's about noticing, little by little, which reactions are honest and which are just habits left over from old fears and routines. There's no manual for being real. Sometimes you'll wake up ready to face the world. Other days, you'll want to hide under the blanket. You'll still slip back into roles you learned long ago, maybe acting tough when you're scared or pretending to agree when you actually want to say no. But now, instead of feeling trapped, you can spot those moments, take a breath, and choose to do something a little different. Each small act of honesty builds strength. Every time you dare to say what you really think, or just admit you have no idea what you're doing, you chip away at the idea that you need to be perfect. You don't need to erase everything you've been. Your story, every win and mistake, every mask you wore and took off, brought you here. What matters is using what you've learned to shape new habits that match who you're becoming, not just who you were told to be. Let the pressure drop. Let yourself out of the box. This is the beginning of real change. It doesn't come in jumps, but in the quiet days when you stop pretending for others and start caring for what feels true to you. When the next family dinner rolls around or the job meeting fires up, you won't automatically shrink or explode. You'll notice the old patterns, but now you have a choice: play along or write a new script, one that's yours. Life keeps moving, and so do you. It's okay if some days you feel lost. It's okay if you don't have all the answers. What matters is deciding, with every breath, to get a little closer to the person who makes sense to you, not out of rebellion, but out of respect for your own journey. And if someone doesn't like this new side you show, let it hurt for a bit and let it go. You can't force yourself to fit into shoes that weren't made for you. In the end, being real is simply this: paying attention, accepting your mess, and allowing yourself to change. When you trust that process, you stop living life to impress others and begin to feel proud of how far you've come. That's when you realize it was never about becoming perfect. It was always about becoming yourself, one honest choice at a time.